know what the problem is, it's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step, I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets, cause we know who we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocket here, ain't stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future, but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Tell 'em, I can't take no loss, my team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top, can't make it by myself.
Welcome. Brand new week. Brand new week. I got my boy back in the house. I got my boy Scotty back with me. Made it back safely from parts unknown. He had a good time. Don't worry about it. He sucks at golf. That's the one main takeaway from that trip. We're not going to get into it. Scotty's back in the house. Glad to have it. Glad to have him. We did a longer show. Some of you guys really appreciated that. We did about an hour and 40 minutes on Friday because of what happened Thursday. Couldn't appreciate your patience more. And you guys tuned in Friday. You were here for it. You were here for an hour and 40 minutes with me, and I appreciate every single second of that. Thank you. Thank you. It was my pleasure doing it. Hopefully it'll be a foreshadowing for things to come sooner rather than later. We'll let you know for sure. Walk before we can run. Mention that. We mentioned that. So there was a meeting. Of course, that's what we're talking about today. There was a bigly, strongly, quickly meeting up in Alaska. Yep. The Joint Base Elmdorf-Richardson, right? JBER is what they call it, the military personnel call it. They had a meeting on Friday. Mr. Bigley strongly met with Putin. Okay? They met. And shouldn't have been necessary, right? Because he promised the war would be over during the campaign. But okay, so here we are. War not over yet. Just another campaign promise falling by the wayside. No big deal. No holding him responsible for any of that, by the right. But that's okay. Here we are dealing with it. So Mr. Bigley strongly goes up to Alaska to meet with Putin. The puppet went to talk tough, talk big deals with the puppet master. And that's exactly how it played out. That's exactly how it played out. I got a little bit of the optics from the right on this, which I found hilarious, especially after diving into some of the stuff that Scotty got for me today and reading some of the New York Times and some Axios reports, and getting these sound bites that I'm going to share with you. I just find it hilarious how the right can spin some of this. Mr. Bigley strongly went there and came out with agreements and concessions from Mr. Putin. That's not quite how it played out. Not quite how it played out. As far as what did Trump get? The totality of Trump's gains from this meeting, I'm going to show you what Trump got in this one clip. Our first clip, I'm going to show you the totality of Trump's gains from this meeting. But you may be saying, but what about Ukraine's needs? Oh, that's not what we're doing here. Because if it was, they would have been invited. It's not what we're doing here. We're talking about what does Mr. Bigley strongly get from this? Let's see right now what he got from it.
I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then, that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, business-like and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, there it is. That's what Russia really conceded. That's what Putin actually conceded. He conceded that Mr. Bigley strongly could have prevented this war. He went up there and he gave Trump something to go back to America with, to say, see, even Putin agrees. Even the guy who's, reviled worldwide, the guy who's seen as a dictator and a warmonger, and everybody knows you can't trust. See, he just co-signed my bullcrap. He just co-signed me saying, if I was president in 2020, this would have never happened. See, he just co-signed me. That's what Trump got. That's what Ukraine got. That's what everybody got. There is your Russian concession right there. Mr. Bigley strongly was right. And by the way, it totally serves Russia's purposes, Putin's purposes, to try to throw Don a bone, to try to make the optics work out in Don's favor. That's his puppet. Of course, he wants his puppet to be strong in the eyes of its people. So if he can go back, if he can give something Trump to go back with and say, look, I was right. I was the better guy. I'm the better choice. This is the better administration. Even Putin saying it. Then that's a win for not just Don. That's a win for Putin too. Maybe his administration will get a little more, relevance. It'll get a little more credence. People will say, hey, maybe Don wasn't so wrong what he said. What else is Don not so wrong about, right? So that's what Don got. That's what Ukrainian people, military, that's what they got. They got to hear Putin double down on Don's bullcrap. Because they didn't concede anything else. And don't forget, Mr. Bigley strongly leading into this meeting, all he talked about were very strong consequences. If there is no ceasefire, well, there is no ceasefire. We're far from it. We're farther from a ceasefire than we were when he got here. When he got there in Alaska, we're farther. And we'll get into that because it's coming out of their own mouths. It's coming out of their own mouths. Let's finish hearing what these world leaders had to say.
I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelenskyy and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Ratcliffe. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job.
Nothing was agreed upon. No ceasefire. He's saying things were agreed upon. Hey, Don, you're a bag man. Let's get it real straight. Putin showed up, told you what he demands from Ukraine to stop killing their civilians, and now you're going to take the bag over to Zelenskyy, and you're going to make him an offer. Zelenskyy can either accept losing the Donbas region in totality or possibly lose much, much more. And while we're working this out, while it's all being figured out, Russia continues to attack. No ceasefire. No ceasefire. None. You're a bag man, Don. He gave you the offer to take to Zelenskyy. You're a bag man. And they will meet. We'll get into that meeting. They are going to meet. Zelenskyy and Trump are going to meet. Part of Trump's plan for peace. He's pushing so hard for that peace prize. Meanwhile, he made it easier for more destruction, more devastation, and more killing. And that's not just some left talking point. It's irrefutable. He showed up talking about ceasefire with very serious consequences, if not. And he left talking about we need an overall peace agreement. Don't worry about a ceasefire. He called it foreplay, which is disgusting coming out of his mouth. But he said anything other than a peace agreement is just foreplay. That foreplay he's talking about is Ukrainian deaths, Russian soldiers' deaths. Okay, that's the foreplay he's talking about. That's what's going to happen while more meetings take place. More phone calls are had between EU leaders and Moscow and Zelenskyy and Trump and Witkoff and Rubio. While all these people are talking and meeting, Ukrainians are dying. That is the foreplay Don is talking about. No ceasefire. Now he's talking about a peace agreement, not a ceasefire during all of this. No mention of it. And he also, by the way, left this meeting talking about, we're not really thinking about sanctions right now. After this meeting, it went well. And we're not really worried about more sanctions right now. So let's just get it straight. Let's just get it straight. Putin gets to level its demands on Zelenskyy and have Trump, the president of the United States, carry the bag, which is all of the Donbas. And then we'll give back some other stuff we already took and not take your capital. That's the bag. Putin gets no ceasefire right now with no consequences. Not only no ceasefire with no consequences, the lessening of the chance of consequences. And no ceasefire for this foreseeable future, because there's not going to be any more tough talk meetings, at least not right this second, although they did talk about another meeting in Russia. We'll get to that. I told you that. We'll get to that. And what did Don get? Don got his belly rubbed. Don got to look right. He got the biggest dictator in the world to co-sign his bullcrap on TV. That's what Don got.
I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant. But we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there.
No, you didn't get there, Mr. Dealmaker. You didn't get anywhere near there. Because getting there, peace, was not what was to be discussed in that meeting. That's very clear now. We talked about it. We talked about it last week, early last week, right from here. We talked about, without Zelenskyy there, what real peace agreement can be had? And Zelenskyy all week had been talking about, if you don't give me a ceasefire now, we're not talking peace or territories or anything. We're not talking at all without a ceasefire. Now, he is going to fold on that because he is going to meet with Trump, and he did not get his ceasefire. I don't know if he was being, optimistic setting up this meeting. I know he was influenced by EU leaders to take this meeting, and they will be there. I don't know if he was optimistic that maybe Trump would be able to pull off a ceasefire. Maybe he thought he actually would, or maybe he knew that wouldn't happen and decided this is the best course of action to limit the deaths of my people. I got to take this meeting, whether they give me the ceasefire or not. That's the kind of guy he is that would take moralistic views to determine his decision making. I know it's crazy, America. I know we haven't had that in a long time. A guy using his moral compass to make decisions. Insanity. By the way, Putin got other W's. I mean, he arrived like a king. Red carpet. Drove in the Beast, Trump's personal car. I mean, made no concessions. Said, great job, Don. Rubbed his belly. No ceasefire. But I mean, he was lauded. He was hailed as a king among men coming in. I mean, that's not how you generally treat dictators and the leaders of nations who invade sovereignty. We don't generally roll out the red carpet for these guys. But that, we're normalizing a lot of weird things these days, aren't we? So I guess that's another thing we're normalizing. Bringing in dictators, murderers, and hailing them as heroes and somebody who deserves a warm welcome.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. You're back with Brett Breaks Things, because democracy doesn't defend itself.
I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ooh, I'll get a little, come see you, Vladimir, in Moscow. I'll get a little heat in my pants for that. They got a little hot. Ooh. Okay, so, yeah, they're talking meat in Russia. It would be the first meeting of a U.S. president in Russia since Barack Obama in 2013 went to the Group of 20 summit in St. Petersburg. Okay, and that was also the last time Mr. Trump was in Russia as well. And by the way, I forgot to mention one other thing Russia got. I kid you not. Russia came away with a cornucopia of gifts from Mr. Trump, and Trump walked away with his belly rubbed. Another thing, by the way, Trump said, he said, we're going to pause tariffs on China buying Russian oil. Really? Because you were talking about very serious consequences and secondary sanctions. That is one of the very same. That is a secondary sanction due to the war in Ukraine. Chinese money buying Russian oil fuels the Russian war machine. Well, geez, Vlad, if you're so fired up about peace, why would you be worried about your influx of Chinese money to fuel tanks and weapons and troops and munitions? I thought you're talking peace, right? You expect Zelenskyy to just hand over the Donbas region. That way you can freeze aggression in all other territories. You're talking peace, right? So why twist Don's arm over Chinese tariffs buying your oil? What a weird thing to come out of this meeting. Optics suck on that. Didn't hear Fox News talking about that. Huh. Pretty funny, considering what everybody's talking about, peace and all, right? And I told you, Russian attacks are continuing. Okay, they have been making gains, attacks in the Dropopila region. Specifically, they've been making gains in that region just recently. Through the 11th through the 14th, there was a Dropopila second offensive. Just recently, troops killed, civilians killed, Russian forces launching this huge ground offensive while the meeting is being prepared. While the meeting is being prepared, they're doing an offensive. And it was an offensive that had no clear timetable for stopping. Talking specifically about the Dropopila region. And the reason I mean that is they started this second wave in this region that didn't stop when the meeting took place, right? In preparation for a possible ceasefire. No. Putin a ceasefire was never in the cards. This offensive in the Dropopila region, this is going to continue. It started before the meeting, and it's going to continue after the meeting. And that tells you very clearly Putin had no interest whatsoever in a ceasefire. Just starting offensives right in the face of this meeting. No interest in a ceasefire. None. And speaking of, by the way, little funny story. So in preparation for this meeting, they hand out these protocol sheets, these lists of who's going to be where and when. Yeah, an itinerary, right? Thank you, Scotty. Yeah, an itinerary, right? Of who's going to be where and when and what they'll be doing, right? Obviously, that kind of information would be closely guarded. Obviously, that kind of information would be considered like, I don't know, top secret, but like something you want to keep a secret, certainly. Well, the papers were left in the hotel room. The Trump administration this weekend downplayed the report that officials left this paper in a public area of their hotel. It was the Captain Cook, Hotel Captain Cook in Anchorage. I don't know where they're the Hotel Captain Cook. That sounds like something on the Strip, but regardless, it's near the Joint Base, and that's where they were staying. And these papers were left in the hotel lobby. Now, the papers are compiled and delivered by one Monica Crowley, okay, who personally serves under Trump as in the office of the Chief of Protocol. Okay, she's the one who compiles this list and hands it out. That's not necessarily who left it in the lobby. Let's just try to keep an eye on who gets fired in the Trump administration in the next week or so. We're going to be looking to see who may be responsible. Around 9 a.m. Friday, a guest found the papers, the itinerary with the president and all of his closest allies and everybody that's going to be at these meetings and when. Yeah, they were handed over to NPR by a hotel guest. Karma's a bitch, huh? Karma's a bitch. What a cruel mistress Karma can be, huh, Trump? NPR found it. Okay. They're downplaying it, of course. And I had pictures. Oh, man. The itinerary had everything, where they're going to be, pictures of everybody. It even had, yeah, we were looking at it. Scotty and I were checking it out earlier. It even had what they ate. Yeah, you want to know what they ate that day? You curious? Of course you are. First course, green salad and champagne vinaigrette dressing. That's with a sourdough bread and rosemary lemon butter. Then, the main course, either a filet mignon with brandy peppercorn sauce or a halibut Olympia. I don't know what halibut Olympia is. It sounds grand and awesome and delicious. I like halibut. I don't know what Olympia means. I'm sure some of you in my audience are like, Brett, you Philistine. How dare you not know what halibut Olympia is? I'm sorry. I don't. I'm sorry. The sides were buttery whipped potatoes, roasted asparagus, and for dessert, a creme brulee ice cream. Just divine. We'll see who gets fired in the next week or so. We'll keep an eye out for you. Somebody's getting fired. So reaction to this meeting is starting to roll out, right? There was reaction right after that press conference. Some of it I found really interesting. Not just what they were saying, but the sources that were saying it. Some of it's really interesting. Let's take a look.
What struck me, Jen, in particular, was really just the looks on the faces of a lot of the American delegation here. Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, Steve Witkoff, who came into the room, then left quickly, then came back in. Leavitt appeared to be a bit stressed out, anxious. Their eyes were wide, almost ashen at times. Those were some of the sort of images that will stick with me as we leave here. This was not the way the president likes to do things. He likes to be the producer of this presidency. He got that in the first half of the day, but when he was behind closed doors with Vladimir Putin, it looks like he didn't come away with anything that he claimed he wanted. He said he'd go home unhappy if there was no ceasefire. They didn't declare one here today.
Yeah, didn't declare one, and Trump looked pretty happy. Everybody's all happy. That is Peter Alexander from what is soon to not be MSNBC. Small tirade here. This is not a good thing. Okay, just to be clear, NBC has dropped MSNBC, so now MSNBC is now going to be MS Now. This is not a good thing. Now MSNBC, one of the most vocal critics of this administration, one of those few places, although left-leaning, obviously, and you can call it fake news. Obviously, they have a bias, but they spoke truth to power. They still do for now. To be deprived of NBC's money, and more specifically, their legal team, this is not a good thing. So that's going to be MS Now coming soon, but there's Peter Alexander telling you they looked worried. They didn't look good, the Trump team. They looked like they got beat up, is what he's telling you, because they did get beat up, because Trump got beat up. Low energy Trump. He is lately, man. He's low energy Trump lately. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the Heritage Foundation actually picked the right horse for 2024. This horse might be old and wheezy and dying halfway through the track. I don't know if they picked the right horse. He don't look good. I mean, look, he's getting your agenda done, Heritage Foundation. But the first part of the plan is working. The second part of the plan, keep this guy alive for the next 3 years, in progress, loading. We'll get back to you. He doesn't look good. He looks tired. This, however, this interested me.
Happened back there. It was just very unusual, atypical, and I think we're all awaiting, the readout, because the way that it felt in the room was not good. It did not seem like things went well, and it seemed like Putin came in and steamrolled, got right into what he wanted to say, and got his photo next to the president and then left. Of course, that is only the piece of the picture that we have right now, and certainly President Trump, who is the host and who is the president, would not want to, I think, enable something that would make him look weak. But we are eagerly awaiting to hear the background on that. And I will also note that we didn't see any sort of scowls on the faces of the likes of Steve Witkoff or Secretary Rubio or any of the other members of the U.S. delegation. And I think had it been concerning, we might have seen something there. But just to paint a picture for you of in the room, how it felt, what we're wondering about, what we need to know to put the pieces together and fully understand what we all just witnessed.
That is senior White House reporter Jackie Heinrich from Fox News saying, quote, steamrolled. referring to their dear leader, he got steamrolled. Let me tell you something. Two things. One, Fox News is on an ongoing quest to ruin their shot at being the one state-run media outlet when this dictatorship fully kicks off. They are screwing it up. That is not the talk of a state-run dictator media outlet. Newsmax, I'm telling you, they are pulling ahead in terms of who's going to be the one network left standing. You're screwing it up, Fox. You're out here talking steamrolled? And let me tell you another thing. Two, Don catches wind of that, he's going to say something. He's going to either respond to it, cry about it, show up on Newsmax and mention it. That is the type of thing that his fragile little ego absolutely cannot abide. Fox News out here talking about Don got steamrolled. All right, Jackie. Okay, looking forward to that career at CNN, are you? Good. Wow. Okay, Fox News, I see you. Yes, Don got steamrolled. He's out here looking tired. He's out here looking beat up. His aides out here looking beat up. Levitt, Rubio, tired. Beat up. Steamrolled. When you come away with an overall picture of how this went, those are the adjectives I want you to use. Okay? That's how you need to picture it.
We'll be back to break it all down. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things.
A year ago, he was Donald Trump's criminal defense attorney. Todd Blanche defended Trump in the Stormy Daniels hush money trial. Trump was convicted on all 34 counts. Today, he's an assistant attorney general of the United States. What's he doing? Flying to Florida to talk with sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell, convicted in the Epstein criminal case. Here's what Donald Trump had to say about the convicted sex trafficker.
I wish her well. Whatever it is, I just wish her well, frankly.
So what do you think Donald Trump's former criminal defense lawyer's doing, talking behind closed doors with Donald Trump's old friend, Ghislaine Maxwell?
We don't want to comment about the substance of the meeting for obvious reasons.
Come on, do they think we're that stupid? Maxwell knows everything. She'd love a pardon.
She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability.
Yeah, Donald Trump thinks we're that stupid. Release the Epstein files. Now.
Now back to Brett Breaks Things, smashing spin, silencing the noise, and keeping it all facts. No fluff.
Putin achieved most of what he wanted. Trump achieved very little. And I will say one other thing. I thought Trump looked very tired up there. I mean, very tired. Not disappointed, tired. And we'll have to reflect on what that means.
Vladimir Putin said it.
Yeah, he's tired. He's tired. He's getting beat up. He's getting beat up. He had to show his reverence for Putin and look strongly bigly. It's a tough lift. It's a big ask. All right, he had to be bigly strongly, but he knew that he could not make Putin do anything. And I think there is a very stark and obvious difference concerning how Trump treats Putin and how Trump treats, let's say, Zelenskyy. Let's take a look at that difference.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. Again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Right now, not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you think
You're
about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful.
You see the size
to
of this
the
tie?
country, this
You're nothing but a lot of tough talking
It's
about
back to you.
Zelensky.
Far more than a lot of people
Oh.
said they should have.
Bigly.
You got to be more thankful.
Strongly.
Because let me
Bigly.
tell you, you don't have
Bigly.
the cards. I've empowered you to be a tough guy.
Look at the size of this tie.
I don't think you'd be a tough guy without
kidding
the
me?
United States.
You're not
I
tough.
think we've seen enough. What do you think? This is going to be great television, I will say that.
Big, tough. Toughly strong, bigly. This guy. Nothing but a lot of tough talking to badge, Zelensky. You know what else Trump said? He said, Ukraine has to come and make a deal. Russia's very strong and Ukraine is not. That was after the meeting he said that. I mean, he said a lot of things after the meeting. I think you can see a little difference how he treats, his puppet master versus how he treats the target of that puppet master doing his bidding there, bigly, strongly, bigly. Yeah, he said a lot of things after this meeting. Of course, he ran to Fox News. He gave him a chance to, there's no way he had heard that steamrolled comment before he took this meeting. No way. Or else he wouldn't have taken it. Or else he would have brought it up. No way it got, maybe somebody actually shielded him from it. Like, good decision. Either way, he did take a meeting with Fox. He took an interview with Fox, and we got, let's hear from the President of the United States on this bigly, strongly meeting.
We spoke very sincerely. I think he wants to see it done.
Yeah. In your press conference, you talked about a lot of things that you agreed on, and maybe one big issue you don't agree on. Are you prepared to go public with that?
No, I'd rather not. I guess somebody's going to go public with it. They'll figure it out. But no, I don't want to do that. I want to see if we can get it done. It's not a done deal at all. Mm-hmm. And Ukraine has to agree. I mean, President Zelensky has to agree. But it's a terrible war where he's losing a lot, and both of them are. And hopefully it can get completed. That'll be a great achievement for them. Forget about me. Yeah. For them.
So let's just be real clear about what Ukraine has to agree on. Let's just be really clear. Now, you're going to hear, Marco talking out of both sides of his mouth, Witkoff, mealy-mouthed Witkoff talking out of both sides of his mouth. But Trump himself has laid it out because he just can't help himself, okay? Trump had said on social media, it is determined by all the best. It is determined by all, which means Putin told me this. He said it's determined by all. The best way to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement, which would end the war, not a mere ceasefire, which oftentimes do not hold up. And Trump told European leaders that he believed a rapid peace deal could be negotiated if Mr. Zelensky agreed to cede the rest of the eastern Donbas region to Russia, even those areas not occupied by Russian troops, and then he would freeze hostilities. Okay, Trump has said it. They're going to hem and haw because the optics suck. The optics suck, and they know it sucks, but Trump has said it. Putin wants eastern Donbas, even the stuff he didn't conquer. He wants it. And then he will freeze hostilities. Freeze them. So, let's just be very clear what's in the bag man is taking to Zelensky. In that bag is something Zelensky already said without a ceasefire, I'm not even going to take a look at. Out of his own mouth, I'm not going to take a look at it. And after Trump told the European leaders Putin's demands, because that's what they are. These aren't agreements to a ceasefire. These are Putin's demands. Okay. And once Trump told the EU leaders what's in the bag, they said this, and we're talking about leaders from Britain, France, Germany, Finland, Italy, Poland, and the European Union and European Council. They said, quote, as long as the killing in Ukraine continues, we stand ready to uphold the pressure on Russia. We will continue to strengthen sanctions and wider economic measures to put pressure on Russia's war economy until there is a just and lasting peace. And they will be at this meeting with Trump and Zelenskyy. That is big. And what they are offering to do, we're going to actually get into in a little bit here in the show. Okay? We're going to get into it, what they're offering to do. But Putin wants the Donbas region, okay? It's very important to them. In the 2010 elections in Ukraine, 90% of the Donbas region voted for the Russian-backed, what was his name? The Russian-backed president. He won the election. He won the election in 2010. What was his name? It's slipping me now. I'll get it in a second. But, okay, so the Russian president in 2010, Ukrainian president, rather, in 2010, 90% of the Donbas region voted for him, okay? And Putin pointed towards that. These are Russians. The reason there's so many Russians, this is the best, the reason there's so many Russians in the Donbas region is because during Stalin's regime, he beat those people down, subjugated them, killed them, chased them down to the point where so many Russians had to flee the country, they went to the east. The west, rather. They went to the west, the Donbas region of Ukraine, to flee the Russian government. That's why there's Yanukovych. Thank you, Scotty. Viktor Yanukovych was the candidate for Ukraine in 2010. Okay, the reason there's so many Russians there is because Russia was so dictatorial and killed so many people, so many had to flee, and they fled to that region of Ukraine. That is why they all speak Russian as a first language. Like 2/3 of them speak Russian in the Donbas region as a first language. So Russia's saying, because we were so bad to our people, they had to flee. And wherever they fled to is ours now too. That is Putin's reasoning for feeling like he deserves the Donbas region. Let's get that straight. So many of our people had to flee, and where they fled to is ours too. It's ours too. Now, I told you about how that was the front lines in World War II. The Crimean region is an industrial and economic hub. It has always come under fire by the Russians. So there is a lot of reasons in Putin's mind that are justifiable for war with Ukraine. And they want that region back. And when you talk to some of the international community and Russian soldiers themselves, the international community is out here saying he's not going to just want Donbas. He's going to want Luhansk and other places, Kharkiv and other cities that used to be under Russian control. He's not going to stop here. And the Russian soldiers themselves, when polled, now, obviously any polling done in such a manner at such a time is dubious at best, but the overwhelming feeling of Russian commanders and many soldiers is, we don't want to stop at Donbas either. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it all the way. We want it all back. They're saying it themselves. So when you ask yourself, why Donetsk? Why Luhansk? Why the Donbas region? That's why. Putin sees it as his people. Most of them speak Russian first. But the only reason they're there is because the Russian government has been so despicable and terrible that their people fled there. And now he wants it too. Keep that in mind. Trump had some more, I digress, he had some more things to say about this meeting here on hospitable Fox News.
There's a lot of points. A lot of points we're agreed on. But there's not that much. There's, one or two pretty significant items, but I think they can be reached. Now it's really up to President Zelenskyy to get it done. And I would also say the European nations, they have to get involved a little bit. But it's up to President Zelenskyy. I think we are, and if they'd like, I'll be at that next meeting. They're going to set up a meeting now between President Zelenskyy and President Putin. And myself, I guess, I didn't ask you about it. Not that I want to be there, but I want to make sure it gets done. And we have a pretty good chance of getting it done.
Okay. He thinks there's a pretty good chance of getting Putin's bidding done. New York Times has done amazing reporting on this pre-meeting and now post-meeting. Okay? And now we have another meeting. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. We've got another meeting now, Zelenskyy, Trump, and many EU leaders. We're going to get to who's there and what they're going to talk about. And it behooves Zelenskyy certainly to take these meetings and do this dance. And we're going to get into their offer. But as I round out this particular portion, let's just all be left on the same page. Trump showed up there talking bigly and strongly, got no ceasefire, got his belly rubbed, and now Zelenskyy has a clear choice. Give us territory or die.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things, pushing back, speaking up, and holding the line.
Counting down to a critical meeting that could reshape the future of Russia's war in Ukraine. Just days after his summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin, President Trump will hold talks with Ukrainian President Zelenskyy tomorrow at the White House, but Trump and Zelenskyy will not be alone. European and NATO leaders announcing today that they will be at Zelenskyy's side during the high-stakes sit-down. Yet, with the memory of Trump and Zelenskyy's last Oval Office meeting still fresh in the minds of world leaders, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is dismissing concerns that tomorrow will be a repeat.
Country's in big trouble. Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Zelenskyy also speaking out this morning with the president of the EU. Zelenskyy laid out what needs to happen tomorrow as Trump says he is now focused on securing a peace deal rather than a ceasefire.
So, yeah, peace deal rather than a ceasefire. That is the veil in which Trump is allowing Putin to continue to attack Ukraine during all of this. No, I don't want a ceasefire. That's foreplay. Stop Ukrainian deaths, that's foreplay. I want the peace deal. Oh, we got a meeting coming up, and then maybe another meeting later, and then maybe down the line, a bilateral meeting with both of these guys. Maybe 2-3 weeks from now. That's all foreplay, baby. We're looking for the real deal because I'm trying to get that peace prize, baby. That's all he wants. He wants the peace prize. He wants to make a peace so he can have the peace prize. That's how you're supposed to ingest it, right? That's how they're hoping the average Trump hater ingests it. Oh, he's just trying to inflate his own self-worth. He's trying to inflate the perception of him on a global scale. No, he's trying to allow Putin to continue to gain territory while this process plays out. So when they finally come to the table with Zelenskyy, their position will be that much stronger. The more offensives, the more drone attacks, the more missile attacks, the more successful incursions into Ukrainian territory before he finally sits down, Putin, Zelenskyy, the stronger Russian position will be. That is what is happening. That is the takeaway from this meeting. Please do not get it twisted in any way. That is what happened. Putin asked for the sun, moon, and stars, put it in a bag, sent his bag man over to Zelenskyy, and while this all plays out, he continues to gain Ukrainian territory, okay? That is what just happened. Period. Okay? So I just want to make sure we're all on the same page with this. We heard from Rubio. I'm going to cut down his clips just a little bit. We heard from Rubio, Mr. Dealmaker, along with the art of the dealmaker.
A European diplomat has confirmed to Fox that President Trump supports Putin's proposal for Russia to take full control of Luhansk and Donetsk, all of Donbas. Do you support this move?
No, first of all, I don't know who told you that, but they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, the president has said that in terms of territories and stuff, these are things that Zelensky's going to have to decide on. These are things that the Ukrainian side is going to have to agree to. That's all the president is trying to do here is narrow down the open issues, narrow them down, and then see if we can play some role in bringing that closer together so we can stop and end this war once and for all.
Oh, really? Really, Marco? Because your guy, Don, has already spilled the beans, bud, and sent you out here once again not getting your lies straight. Oh, you're so close to the cuff. You're such a negotiator, Marco. Oh, I can't say that. I can't say that. Meanwhile, your dear leader's out here saying that. He's telling the whole world, the international community, yeah, Zelensky needs to give up the Donbas region. That's what Trump's saying, Marco. Just so we're all clear about just so we're clear. And Witkoff's out here. He's out here on CNN. They just don't know they don't know. They absolutely do not know which way's up. They cannot get their lies straight. They just can't.
So Trump told Fox that he and Putin, quote, largely have agreed on, unquote, land swaps. And sources tell CNN that President Trump told European leaders that Putin will agree to end the war and not attack Ukraine or other European countries, as you mentioned earlier, in exchange for Ukraine ceding the entire Donbas region to Russia, including territory that isn't even currently occupied by Russian forces. Is that accurate? Is that what's on the table? But Ukraine has to agree to cede all of Donbas?
I think, look, I don't know that we have the time now to go through all the different issues on these 5 regions. There are 5 regions here. It's always, in our view, been the crux of the deal. Those 5 regions, the Russians have previously said that they wanted it at the administrative lines. The administrative lines are the actual legal boundary lines as compared to the contact lines. The Russians made some concessions at the table with regard to all 5 of those regions. There is an important discussion to be had with regard to Donetsk and what would happen there. And that discussion is going to specifically be detailed on Monday when President Zelensky arrives with his delegation and some of the other European leaders. And hopefully we can cut through and make some decisions right then and there on that.
Why are you being mealy-mouthed about this? Who are you trying to keep this a secret from? They already told Zelensky what they want. They already told all the EU leaders that are going to be at this meeting with Zelensky what Putin wants. Why are you out here being, mealy-mouthed and all, clandestine about it? Like, what's the big secret? The dictator who invaded Ukraine demands now, is demanding regions he didn't even take yet. What's the big secret? Oh, the optics suck because our president went there and kissed his ass? Oh, got it. That's the difference, right? That's the deal. That's why you have to come out here and be like this with no ceasefire, lying, obfuscating. Can't just come out here and say the truth. 1, no ceasefire. People still keep dying. Sorry. And 2, we got this bag we got to bring to Zelensky, and it's got the Donbas region in it. And it's so funny to me. I was telling Scott, it's so funny to me that they're calling this a concession. The concession that they are referring to out of Putin, that, the Trump administration and these news outlets, the concession they're referring to are security concessions, a security pact by other nations. You see, in this meeting, it's going to be between van der Leyen, Mark Rutte, Emmanuel Macron, Keir Starmer, Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, Finnish President Alexander Stubb, and Zelensky and Trump. That's who's going to be at this meeting. And they're going to discuss an Article 5-like pact or agreement. Nothing really written in stone. But they're going to discuss an Article 5-like agreement. What's Article 5? Article 5 of NATO commits all members to treat an attack on one of theirs as an attack on all of them. That's what Article 5 means. So these countries that I just mentioned to you are going to show up and they're going to say, we want to propose an Article 5-like agreement between us and the U.S. to protect you from further Russian attacks after you make an agreement. You see, they talked about, we're here to end the war. They talked about this has to end, peace at any cost. But what the EU leaders have yet to mention yet, in any way, is we are also interested in Ukraine keeping the Donbas region. They haven't said that. They haven't committed to that. They haven't drawn that line in the sand. The only people out here saying no way on the Donbas region is Zelenskyy and his aides, his military leaders. They're the only ones. So you can assume that this Article 5 style agreement, you can assume that it is predicated on Ukraine giving up the Donbas. That's the bag that Trump is bringing to the meeting. That is Putin's demands. So if Zelenskyy can agree to peace, give up his region, then going forward, we here at this table, and maybe a couple others, will agree that any attacks on Ukraine are like an attack on us all. Of course, without any troop movement, without any substantive commitment to this agreement, it could all go poof. They are not NATO. This is outside of NATO. This is not a NATO agreement or something that was discussed by NATO. This is these countries only, and any one of them could walk away, especially if they haven't committed any troops yet. They could just walk away at any time. And allowing this portion of the meeting, allowing this particular strategic defensive point, is what they are calling a concession by Putin. They're saying Putin is conceding to this Article 5 agreement by these nations. Why would they need Putin's concession on this at all? Why would they even ask for any input by Russia on this? This is an agreement to stem Russian aggression, to prevent Russian attacks in the future. This isn't a concession. It's like the bully beating you up in the hallway, taking your lunch and giving you a wedgie, and then saying, you now have my permission to go see the principal about this. You're allowed to go see I concede that. I concede you going to see the principal about me beating you up. That is not a concession. That's not anything. Putin didn't give up anything. He only got. He only received. He completely played Trump. He completely played him on the biggest stage in the world. Now, there have been talks of commitments to this Article 5 style agreement. UK, Keir Starmer said he is open to stationing troops in Ukraine. By the way, it's happening right now. Breaking. We're a big time operation here. I got breaking news in my ear. They're showing up right now. The meeting's right now, 1:00. Meeting's about to happen. The one we're talking about right now. It's right now. The leaders are all showing up as we speak. And Keir Starmer, like I said, he's open to stationing troops in Ukraine right after this agreement is made. France and Germany, they've been a little more cautious, but they favor committing troops and military equipment as well. Okay? They have been very wary of over-promising, but we'll see what stance they take now. See, these stances, they could kind of shore up in the face of how that meeting went. If that meeting didn't go great for Ukraine. And so maybe the EU leaders are willing to take a more strong stance. Maybe. Everybody's watching this meeting. Everybody's watching how this plays out. There are NATO members right on the border of Russia that are watching this very closely. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Sweden, Turkey. They're watching this very closely. One of the things Putin made clear is that Article 5 agreement has a non-NATO affiliation. He made that clear in his concession. Oh, so magnanimous. He made clear this cannot be a NATO pact. Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova, they're not NATO, but they're allies. They're allies. So a lot of countries are watching how this plays out, and it's playing out right now as we speak, and I can't wait to get into it tomorrow with you guys.
They'll try to repair the narrative, but Brett Breaks Things will be back tomorrow to break it all down.